Hi everyone, it's Tonya Gibbs and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to create a mixed media tag tutorial. This is an Yvonne Blair Art Girls project. This is a glimpse of the tag that we are going to create today. The tag is inspired by one of the quotes on Yvonne's Everyday Quotes set. This is She Colored Her World in the Most Beautiful Colors. This set has several quotes on it, and it is available at some of your local stamp retailers. If they do not carry Yvonne stamps, then please ask them to. I will link up a blog post down below that has a link for the stamp set so that you can purchase it if you cannot find it at your local retailers. So to begin our project, I have taken one of my blotter pages that usually is sitting on top of my desk, and I have mounted it onto a piece of chipboard and then cut it out using Tim Holtz's book plate and tag die. And now I am taking some gesso and gessoing up some of my elements here. This is a chipboard dress form that is from Maya Road, and then I'm also using one of the chipboard pieces here that is a geo shape from Dusty Attic, and then some buttons that were in my set. I'm also using some apple barrel plaid paint, and I am going to mimic the calico design that is on the back of the tag. This is a great way to use up some of your blotter paper or some jelly print paper. I really enjoy using those as my base for my tags. So to give my dress form a really nice shiny surface, I want to heat emboss it with some white embossing powder. So I am going to go ahead and do that really fast. I started with the base of Versa ink and then added my powder, and then now I'm heat setting that. So I like lots of details on my tags, so this tutorial might get a little bit long for you guys. A lot of these steps may seem a little cumbersome, but for me, when I'm holding one of these tags in my hand, I want to be able to see lots of details all the way through to the bottom of the tag. These are like an ATC artist trading card for me, and whenever I share them with friends or I hand them out, I want you to really see lots and lots of details. So to me, the theme is color. You know, she colored her world with lots of beauty. So when you're looking at this, I don't want you to ever look into this tag and see an empty space. I want you to see lots of beauty and depth all the way through to the end. So if you're more of a simplistic artist, then keep your tag very simplistic and flat. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I am a very detailed person, and I like lots of thick detail. My tag from all angles you will be able to see lots of details. So that's me, and that's who I am. So I get lots of people asking me all the time, why did you do this step and then cover it up? Well, for me, it's not covered up because the more you look, the more you see. So it's never lost. And also know this going into it, that as I'm working on this, I don't have a plan. I'm just going and letting the art just happen. So I don't really know when I set out to do a project what's going to happen. And for some of that means maybe I cover something up as I move through the art project, but those details are never lost or hidden because they led me to something else. So that's the process. That's part of the process. So what I'm doing now is, I thought about this for a long time. She colored her world for me meant that, you know, I'm an artist, so I reach for paintbrushes constantly. So I colored my world. So I grabbed some paintbrushes out and decided to color them up. These are old paintbrushes that really, truthfully, I was about to throw them out. So they were awful. So I've decided to use them as art instead. So I'm painting the edges of them to give them some really dirty look. And this paint that I'm using is really dried out. It's almost empty. The bottle's almost empty. So I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So I've used a popsicle stick to kind of scrape off some off the edges, and then I've added some water to it to sort of, you know, reactivate some of the pigment. And now I am using a cosmetic sponge to blend it in around the edges of my tag. This is just going to kind of give some shadowing to the edges and draw your eye more towards the light, which is in the center of my tag, and really bring your eye back to where all of that vibrant color is there and towards the center. The bottle that you keep seeing me pick up and put down is actually some gesso that I have added some retarder to, uh, and that keeps it really liquefied. Never add water to your acrylic paints that you want to liquefy. Instead, you want to add like a retarder agent to it. That keeps it liquefied, but it doesn't separate the pigments and cause it to become separated. I know sometimes people want to add water to it to liquefy it, but don't do that because it will actually separate the pigments and cause it to be yucky anyway. So anyway, now it's time to start building out my tags. I'm using hot glue initially. You'll see me come back later with some matte medium, but the hot glue is going to help all of these heavier pieces to sort of hold their placement until the gel medium has a chance to dry. And I'm going to go ahead and start building out placement for all of my other pieces. Just breaking off those wooden stems of those paintbrushes just to give them some placement on my tag. I do want them at different elevations on this tag to give them interest. I'm also going to make sure that the geometrical piece there sticks out on the side. So here I come back with my popsicle sticks and my matte medium. I often reuse containers, so the container you see on my desk may not necessarily be what is in the container, but that is matte medium that I have there, or soft matte gel. What I do is I refill containers constantly. I buy bigger containers and then refill smaller containers. That keeps my I have a bad habit of not closing containers on my desk, so it keeps me from wasting product as well. So this is a one-hit wonder Prima flower there on my desk. Came in a set of 6, and this was the only one left over. So he's going to get used up today, and then I'm adding some buttons there as well. And then here comes my lovely dress form lady. She is the she in the sentiment. This is a piece of silk that I cut off of a Prima piece of border ribbon that had bling on it, and then I had sprayed it blue a long time ago in another project, and it's just been sitting in my one-hit wonder box, and now I'm using it to make a skirt on my dress form. And I'm going to set that to the side for just a moment while I work on some other things. And this is one of those applique doilies that I cut apart, and I thought it would look like wings there on my dress form if I cut it apart. So I'm doing that now, and of course finding the placement on my little geometric shape. So this popsicle stick, notice I'm adding a very liberal amount of this gel medium there, and this gel medium will dry clear. You won't notice it even though I'm adding globs and globs of it, but I do want a liberal amount because all these pieces are super heavy and I want it to stick for life, so I'm being super liberal with it there. So once I find placement for all of my elements and I get it all worked out there, I found this eyelash floss in my stash, and it's this vibrant hot pink. So it kind of reminded me of this like costume type thing. I don't know. So she kind of reminds me of like this salsa dancer costume kind of thing. So I decided to go with it and create this really vibrant outfit for my little dress form. I really wanted her to be super bright, and I wanted her to look like she was full of color and laughter and happiness. And you know, when I close my eyes and I think of someone who is out painting the town and having a good time and just full of life and laughter and fun and happiness, that's what I'm thinking of, is, you know, someone who's not afraid of color, who's someone who's, you know, vibrant and fun and lives their life out loud. And So I wanted to give her a flashy outfit full of vibrant colors and fun. So that's what I did. I gave her one of these really bold, eyelashy, bright outfits. So she's going out to paint the town and be full of life and energy. Um, One thing I like about living here in Florida is that, especially like the further south you go, is that the architecture and uh, the communities, especially around central to southern Florida, um, the architecture, the landscaping, because we have such a rich environment. The architecture, all of the landscaping, everything is so full of vibrant colors everywhere you go. So I really wanted to stick with those really fun, vibrant colors because whenever I read the tag and I think she colored her world in the most beautiful colors, I feel like she's happy. So I know I'm probably getting a little philosophical here, but I feel like when someone's happy, they're vibrant and they're loud and they're just, their laughter's infectious and you can feel the energy coming off of them when they enter the room, and that energy comes through with their boldness. And for me, I feel like when they walk in, their clothing is usually pretty bright. It says, "Hey, look at me. I'm happy." So I wanted her to be bright and happy, and I wanted her tag to exude that happiness with all these bright, vibrant colors. So now I've just added a little touch of paint to a fan brush, and I'm just adding those colors back onto the elements that I've just added, just so that they don't look like they've just been dropped onto this canvas. I wanted them to look like they were added originally. So I'm just touching those elements with the fan brush just to give them the look as if they had been there forever. And it's time to now add my sentiment. So I've just grabbed a pre-cut fishtail banner, and I'm going to spritz it with a little bit of that gold so it has the same effect as if it has been on this tag forever. And I'm going to use this Heidi Swap Hot Pink ink, and it's a hybrid ink, so it goes on quite wet. I could actually emboss with this ink if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Then after it's good and dry, it's permanent, which I do like that about this ink. And then to keep the organic look of the tag, I think I'm going to just snip off one edge of this fishtail, staple it down with my tiny attacher, but then give it a nice good wave with my finger and then tuck it behind one of the paint brushes just so it stays elevated, but I'm not going to glue it down on the other side. I do want it to just kind of free flow and be a little arched there on my tag. The stapler will keep it in place. I won't have to worry about it going anywhere. So of course this is one of my signature things, but there's another method to this too, because all of these elements are super heavy and they also stick up at variant degrees. This acts as sort of a concrete stucco, if you will, for all of these elements. Taking some glossy accents and then some micro beads as well as some glass glitter, and just making a paste out of it. Now the glossy accents, of course, will dry clear. It goes on kind of ashy looking, but it does dry clear. And then of course, because it is glossy accents, it'll help that glass glitter to really sparkle and shine once it dries. And then I just go into those negative areas underneath all of my my embellishment clusters, and then underneath my dress form, and fill in all of those gaps. Now what that's going to help to do is these elements are all very heavy, so it's going to keep them from collapsing, and it's going to just kind of help to stucco in around those elements and keep them elevated. But it's also going to give me a really nice base where I don't ever have to worry about these things ever coming up. And then it's going to give a little bit of sparkle to that area as well. So it's kind of like a little signature thing that I do to almost all of my tags, and it gives it a really nice finished look. So then taking the scraps from the dress forms pieces, just making the top of the tag there. I also set a large eyelet up there to finish that off and give it a really nice finished look at the top. And I don't know if I said anything, but I also, on the element that sticks out on the side from the geometric shape, I also added a couple of little baubles with a garment pin. I always love to have a few little things dangling there. If it's not baubles, it'll be a charm. And then to finish off, I just felt like after everything kind of set and had a chance to dry, I just sort of felt like the gap between the big flower and the dress form was just a little bit too much of a gap. So this is like the next day. I'm going to come back and fill in that gap with another button and a couple of flowers just to kind of close in that gap a little bit. And then I also added a few little small rhinestones just to give a little bit of a jewelry effect. And to keep from messing up my tag and everything that was on it, I went ahead and painted those flowers before I added them back to the tag. Just, you know, digging through this box of one-hit wonders, this does help to de-stash quite a bit and get that stash down. And once I got all of that into place, I decided that it needed just a little more sparkle even still. I really wasn't happy with how muddy that green flower was starting to get, so I added a button to this. I ripped off the top piece of that. It was getting just a little too muddy, and added a button there instead, and then a flower on top of it. So now I'm going to come back with a little bit of glossy accents and just paintbrush that right over some strategic places here on my tag surface. Again, I want gold, I want vibrant. And I'm not painting a lot, I'm sort of dry brushing it on. Just touches of it. Don't want a whole lot of this. And then this is just gold leafing, and I'm just going to, just like I said, dry brush this on. And any place the gold leafing doesn't touch is just going to give everything just a really nice shiny surface anyway, so I'm not going to even worry about it. And then I'm just going to come back and brush that off. So here's some close-ups of my tag. You can really see the details here and how shiny it is and vibrant and full of life and color. It's so gorgeous. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Again, don't forget to check out that link down below where the blog post is that gives you the link to this beautiful stamp set. Thank you guys so much again for hanging out with me. I know this was a long video, but if you've enjoyed this production, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, a comment, and share this with a friend.